So the common information model in its basic terms is a set of pre-configured data models. The question is, how do we intend to use these pre-configured data models? So that's what we're going to see here. So it's going to have these models. We discussed data models in the previous module. You have the data models there. You're going to have the configuration. So basically the data fields that you require for this data model. And then there are also tags that are going to help you in order to associate data to this data model. So maybe you're going to have a data model that can be used for authentication, a data model that you can use for web data, a data model that you can use for change data, and so on and so forth. So now your responsibility is that you have to identify which data model best matches your source data. If you are looking at Linux authentication logs, for example, you're going to be saying that, okay, Linux authentication logs will certainly match the authentication data model. Or if you're looking at web server logs, like what we have here on the screen, you say that, okay, web server logs are certainly going to match the web data model. But now the question is, you're typically going to have web server logs from different vendors. So you have a vendor A, you have a vendor B, you have a vendor C, such as we have on the screen. And then you have vendor A's web server logs that you ingest in Splunk. So you have the web server logs for that vendor in Splunk. You have vendor B's web server logs that you inject in Splunk. You have those, and then vendor C. Now, what happens in practice is that the first vendor's fields, the field names that are associated to the web logs in Splunk for vendor A doesn't necessarily have to match the field names for vendor B, doesn't necessarily have to match the field names for vendor C. So it's a little bit like when we were discussing field aliases. So you can have a field called action field, for example, or maybe the source IP field. And in vendor A's logs is called, client IP. In vendor B's logs is called source_IP. In vendor C's log is called SRC IP, for example. But all of those represent the source IP. Now, when you go within the web data model in your common information model, they are recommended field names that you have to take these fields from your logs and normalize so that it matches these field names. That is why we talk of normalization. So here, what we're looking at now is we are seeing data from 3 different vendors, this equivalent data because it's web server logs, but the field names are different. So what you really want to do is that you want to normalize the data. So you want to normalize the data so that they have common field names, so that vendors A field that contains the source IP will be the same like the field that contains the source IP of vendor B will be the same like vendor C, and then these have to match the recommended field name that is under the web data model of the common information model. That's what you're trying to do, because ultimately you want to take the data from these sources and then you associate to the common information model. And how do you do this normalization? That is where some of the knowledge objects that we've seen start coming into play. We saw how to use field aliases. So in order to do this normalization, you can use field aliases. There are times that some fields don't really exist in the data, and so you can use field extractions in order to get those fields if possible. And then there are times that you can also use lookup tables in order to get fields from external sources that are going to match what you have in your data model. Now, let's look at the example of the web data model. So use fields from the CIM model. If you go to the CIM documentation online, each of the data models has the fields that are expected, the fields that are recommended. So if you go, for example, for the web data model that actually matches web server logs, you're going to see fields like the action field. You're going to see a field like the duration field. You're going to see a field like HTTP_method. You're going to see a field like SRC, which is for the source IP. Then you're going to see the field status, which is for the HTTP status like 403, and all those codes. So now the expectation is that these 3 vendors might have these fields, but they have different field names in there. So you have to normalize the field names to match what you actually have in the model, what the model expects, which are these field names here. Or if there are some fields that exist there or don't exist, but you have a way of extracting them, you can use field extractions in order to get those fields in. And of course, there is also a chance that you can use lookup tables as needed. So that's what you do there when you talk about normalization. You are actually trying to normalize the data from the different vendors to a data model that is found within the common information model. So you are normalizing it to a common standard. And once you normalize that data, it means that you have made sure that the field names in the different sources now are the same and match what is part of the data model that you found in the CIM. Then you now need to associate the normalized data with your CIM data model. Because as we said, the CIM data model is just a data model that is pre-configured, but it doesn't have data yet. So if you are taking data from these three sources and then you wanted to get it to the CIM, the first thing will be for you to normalize the data. And after you normalize the data, you want to make sure that you associate the data to that web data model, in this case, that is part of the CIM. And how do you associate that data to the CIM? That is where another set of knowledge objects that we have discussed already comes in. So you can use event types and tags. When these CIM data models come with the CIM, online you have documentation, as I said, and this documentation have the tags that you need to use to tag your data so that that data can actually be associated to the common information model. We are going to see that. But then you might need to define event types for your data. So if, for example, I'm getting data from index equals web, source type equals access combined, I can decide to make that an event type. And then we said that event types can be tagged. So I can now take a tag that is part of the web data model of the CIM and tag that event type, which means that I've just really taken the data from that source and associated it to the web data model that is part of the common information model. So let's break it down for you here. The common information model then is going to be a set of 26 pre-configured data models. It used to be less. It's been increasing over time. I don't know the exact number now, but I think it's approximately 26 pre-configured data models. It provides a methodology to normalize data. So as you're seeing here, you're taking data from these three different vendors. And what you've done here is that you've actually normalized the data to a common standard so that the field names are the same. So you normalize that and associate it to a data model within the CIM. So provides a methodology for normalizing data. The third thing here is that it can correlate data from different sources and source types, which is again what we have seen. So you're looking at here, what we are seeing here is more like some kind of correlation, because now you're taking data from vendor A, vendor B, and vendor C, and then you're bringing it together, making it having the same field name. So it's also like some kind of correlation that you're doing there. And the last one is that you can use the CIM in order to create knowledge objects. So here I think we have an exam tip. Which of the following statements describe the common information model? Choose all that apply. The first one that applies here is that the CIM is a methodology for normalizing data, just as you've seen here. And then the second one here is that the CIM can correlate data from different sources. So when you are talking about the CIM, you can have a single data model, but the data within that data model is coming from different sources after you've done your normalization. And then now you see that the knowledge manager uses the CIM to create knowledge objects. So you can actually create knowledge objects, as we're saying. We've already seen here about field aliases. We've seen field extractions, lookups, event types, tags. Those are actually knowledge objects that we discussed before. So that's why you can see here that the knowledge manager can actually use the CIM to create knowledge objects. And then the CIM is an app that can coexist with other apps on a single Splunk deployment. So the CIM is just an add-on. So sometimes we can call add-ons, we can refer to them as apps as well. And you say that it can coexist with other apps. So it's not like when you have a Splunk instance and then you install apps there, you can no longer install the CIM. Or if you install the CIM, you can no longer install other apps. So it's just like another app and can coexist with different apps on a Splunk instance. So we have two more exam tips here. Which of the following is a function of a common information model? A possible answer here, normalizing data across a Splunk deployment. So when you see the common information model, you always have to think about data normalization. You always have to think about correlation. You always have to think about getting data from different sources. And then what is the Splunk common information model? So the possible answer here is the CIM provides a methodology to normalize data from different sources and source types, just as we've seen.